Welcome to Hall of Gaming in Wallingford. I am joined by the lovely T.O. and number 3 ranked player in Connecticut in Melee, Arty.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem.
So kind of what we're going to do is we're just going to play a few games of Melee, and I'm going to get destroyed. I understand. I'm not ranked in the slightest, or even close to getting ranked. But yeah, we'll run a few games, and we'll just kind of talk about a little bit about what it's like being a ranked player and being a TO of a regular tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So we'll start with something a little more fun. What is the favorite tournament you have attended, like major, super major, anything of those kind of
wow.
likes?
Let me think about that.
Yeah, no.
I've been to a lot of tournaments. I've been going to tournaments since 2014, and I've gone to at least like one tournament a week since then. So I don't know. Quick math. That's probably almost 1,000 tournaments if I've gone to.
You got to be pretty damn close, if
yeah.
not. You know?
Like if I've gone to at least one a week, I've probably gone to more than one a week for a while, and that adds up to some number. So hard for me to say. I had a lot of fun at all of the shines because
it's local, right?
Yeah,
Close
local.
enough.
I get to like see a lot of people that I know, but also people that I know from across the country are like able to visit me like near where I am. And Shine was hosted near my school, WPI. So yeah. So the first one was in Boston, and maybe the first two were in Boston. I can't remember now, but. After that, they moved to Worcester, right up the street from where I went to school. So, pretty cool. I'd have to say Shine, probably.
And Shine, obviously, I believe, is shut down recently.
Yeah, they stopped running this most recent year.
Are they associated with Wave Dash? Isn't Wave Dash also Massachusetts?
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to like take the spot, the slot that just opened up. I don't think that they're associated. Or if they are, it's definitely not the head guys who are running Shine. So I think they just majors don't make money.
Of course.
So I think it was just like, hey, we had a good run. We ran for like however many years. We gave this many experiences to people. Maybe that's it's a lot of work to run a major too.
Oh, absolutely.
So, pretty much a full-time job for multiple months planning it.
As a TO, you have some kind of perspective.
Yeah.
Obviously, a smaller scale than a 2,000 entrant major, but just like logistically, when you're setting up for a tournament, even of something that's even a little smaller scale, like a local or a weekly, how much time ahead did you have to set up when going through setting up brackets and that kind of thing?
So a lot of our process is really streamlined now. So I have a group of staff or volunteers who do get paid an amount, but mostly it's about the perks they get and about helping the community. And they help me with a lot of the tasks associated with running some of the tournaments, like either running the tournament or helping me with making graphics or whatever
Whatever they got.
Yeah, whatever they are willing to and able to help out with.
And that's something I've noticed a lot with the Smash community, especially being that it is a community.
Yeah.
That we have a lot of everyone wants to work together because they all have that kind of same goal, right? Of having a place to play.
It's all grassroots. It's all people want to make this cool thing happen because they're not getting developer support, right?
Of course, yeah.
They're not getting. It's it doesn't happen without just the community coming together and making it happen. And it's a game people really love. And it's old, but I think or at least Melee is, and it's just people really like this game so much that it is not going to die. So Melee is now 20 years old.
And has probably some of the most eclectic Smash history of any game.
Actually, I think it came out in 2001, so 23 years old now.
It was one of the almost launch titles for the game too.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. And I don't see it dying, at least within my adult life.
Oh yeah. I mean, right now we have a huge breakthrough with people like Junebug and Akir really kind of taking Donkey Kong to a point where now it seems like he may actually be viable.
Yeah, and it's just we still learn new things this long after the game.
Oh, yeah.
We still learn new things that not just about like how good characters are, but like game mechanics. Like only a couple years ago, people discovered certain things, and they're getting more and more like meta and like used in the competitive scene, and that's like super cool. Like to see the game evolve like in front of you.
Especially with a game as complex as Melee, with so many fine details that really, like, I believe you said you started in 2014.
Yeah, I did.
Are you a doc kid?
I actually started just before the doc, which actually was awesome because I played Melee for like 6 months, and then like this super cool Melee content came out. So like I was on the ground floor. Like I didn't hear about it after it came out. I was like there when it was released, and I was like, this is awesome. There's a similar experience when Slippy came out. I was just waking up one morning during the pandemic and like, you know, can't go to any tournaments, can't go do things with my friends. You know, people are still in lockdown. And then randomly this guy just drops that he had been working on this thing secretly for the past year, where you can play Melee online now, and it's like, there's no lag. And it's like, what?
Because it was Anthers before that, but Anthers didn't have like rollback netcode.
Right, no rollback netcode.
So it just was not smooth online.
Exactly. I would say online was almost unplayable unless you were playing with someone who had like a very good, very low ping width.
Like the guy, your neighbor.
Yeah,
Literally
right?
the guy next door.
And it's like, at that point, like, what is it for?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess during the pandemic it's helpful. But it definitely was not the same experience, and you could not, like, if you played someone online, you won online, there was always this asterisk of like, hey, it's online.
Oh yeah, and I think that affected people like Zane's legacy too, right? Like he became like, he was like the online guy. And then thankfully he's kind of had his career resurgence like back in IRL, but definitely like it had a stigma to it playing online.
Certainly there was something worse about playing online, and there still sort of is, but it's way, way closer to offline than it's ever been. So.
Oh yeah, rollback netcode, especially for any of the FGC kind of games, is like such a crucial aspect to making it feel as close to the real thing as you can.
Exactly, and also to loop it back around to like, hey, it's a community effort. Like, this was one guy.
It was Fizzy, right? He just came
Fizzy.
up and...
He had one guy talking to some people, getting some help from other people, just like, as a guy, right? He's not making any money from this. He quit his full-time job. Complete risk, right? This could have done nothing for him. Maybe it wouldn't even have popped off. He doesn't know. And he just worked on it full-time for like a year and gave us like something that like created a huge resurgence in the Melee community, because the pandemic did something to Melee that people were very afraid of, which is that like it killed events completely, and Melee was an in-person thing that you did with people.
It was a game where you had to travel to somebody's house, somebody you knew, to go play, because it was the only way you could get reps.
Yeah, exactly. Like the amount of times people have had Smash Fests where you just go over somebody's house, and like a group of people get like 3 or 4 CRTs into a room and they all just play. That's like how you played Melee if you didn't go to a tournament, or like if you just went to a tournament, you played friendlies with the rest of the event. You know, that's like how it happened. So for us to suddenly have access to anytime I want, play against anyone that also wants to play at that time.
And from anywhere in the country, right?
Yeah.
You get to play against people you would never get to play against otherwise.
It's like invaluable. Like I just played yesterday against someone from Arizona, and I had never met them. I didn't have to coordinate with them. I just hit search, and then I played with them. And we played for like an hour and a half. It was great.
And you were kind of touching on the community aspect of Smash. Obviously, Smash has a very diverse community. Over the years, it has kind of gained a lot of people from all kind of walks of life, whether it be LGBTQ community or people of color, to even just the people that maybe didn't have a lot of social outlet going forward. This game kind of offers a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
And as a TO, what kind of goes into building a healthy and diverse kind of community with the people around you? Yeah,
I mean, for one, it is making sure that, so something that I get to do, because I'm also a player, people, like I was a player that people knew before I was the owner. And so what that allowed me to do is people kind of knew me and could interact with me like very like intimately, like they can say things that they might not say to someone who's like a business manager. Just because like, hey, I'm just the guy they've known for a while, you know, like they can say personal things, they can say like they can give me like, hey, I've been having this problem, or like with this person or this thing. Is this a safe place for me? And so, like, as long as they see that I have values that align with theirs, that are accepting, and that they can feel comfortable, being here and not feel like they're at risk of being harassed or discriminated against for like what they value or things like that, then like my values like kind of like create the space's values, because like if there's people who don't align, if there's a bigot, they can go. They can leave. I can have them go. So
they can go play Slippy, because then they don't have to talk to anybody.
Put them online. But yeah, like it. So and like I'm fostering like a community of people that share these values. So the longer that I'm in charge, the longer that the people that I'm fostering stay, the more likely it is that people will get the experience that is like, hey, we are an accepting place of all types of people, all sexualities, all identities, and I think we've pretty much achieved that. Like we have I think people feel like, hey, Hog is somewhere I can go to just go hang out with my friends and just chill, and I don't have to feel like I'm at risk of being harassed or someone hating me because I'm gay, because I'm black.
Exactly.
Whatever.
And I think too, as probably as a player, coming from the perspective of now you are the person that has to run these kind of things, you get that kind of sense of what the game means to people and how it can help others, right? Like the ability that it is a safe space. And as someone that probably, like, you're around a lot of the people in this community quite a bit, you kind of have a sense of, oh, I understand what kind of people I enjoy being around that make the game the most fun for everyone.
Yeah.
And by being obviously the owner and the TO, you have the ability to kind of say, well, I get to foster who I want because I want to make sure it's an enjoyable place for everyone.
Oh yeah. And like that's another thing too. Being a player, I get to kind of like to like kind of reiterate what you said, make it a spot that I like understand players want. Like I get to do things with Hog's revenue and with my time, because I can like be here anytime, that benefit the community, because I am someone who like also benefits from it because I'm also a player.
Of course.
I compete in 2 out of our 5 weekly events every week, and I want to make the tournament a little more fun for me too. So it gives me like an advantage over other TOs that are not players, because like they need like insight as to what people want. Whereas I feel like I can get it pretty easily, and even if I couldn't get it for something that I don't play, I can like, because I'm a player in general, I'm someone who competes, like people who are competitors can like more easily talk to me about what they want, because they'll know I'll understand at some level.
Of course.
So it's pretty great. I think we're doing pretty great here.
What games, besides obviously Melee, but what's the other game you compete in?
I compete in Street Fighter.
Which one?
Fighter 6 just came out.
A year ago or so?
I guess it was a year ago now.
Yeah, it feels weird.
It felt like the new game.
It still feels like pretty new. Like I don't even know half the characters.
Yeah, right. So I play Street Fighter. It's very fun playing a game where the combos are all like guaranteed.
Of course.
Or not all of them, but for the most part, combos are guaranteed. Like you get your opener, and as long as that one opener is an opener you have a combo for, then you can just do the combo just like you practice in training mode, which is different from Melee.
Of course.
Which I appreciate. Like I appreciate that Melee is giving me this different experience, this way that I have to completely, like Melee you are always on, but in Street Fighter you get your combo and you can kind of chill for like the next 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, because I play Melty Blood, so I'm kind of I play a little bit of other fighting games. Yeah, I'm terrible. I've just got into it. But there's like that kind of feeling of, oh yeah, when you're blocking, or maybe you're gonna wait for your one opportunity to hit a parry or something. Yeah. But you kind of get a breather.
Yeah.
In Smash and Smash Likes, you don't get that.
Yeah,
you don't get the liberty of that.
You have to be paying attention. It's very, you're constantly moving, and if you're not moving, you are constantly looking at what your opponent is moving.
Going to be doing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So,
And we'll go for another fun question.
Sure.
What's the best player you've gotten to play against, like in bracket?
Oh my gosh, I've had a lot of chances against a lot of very good players. I've played against Captain Face Roll. at the Big House in
It's Detroit, right?
yeah,
This big house?
yeah, yep. I got to play against Kirby Kaze in a upstate New York tournament. I don't know what
That's
he was
an old
doing there.
name.
Yeah. I got to play against Chillin' Dude, or not Chillin' Dude. How am I? Chudat.
Chudat, yeah. I mixed those two up.
Yeah. Among many, many other top 100 players that I can't even mention in doubles and in singles.
Well, of course. And doubles, of course, has its own kind of like meta and top players within that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I think there's a French pair of siblings.
Yeah, the two girls, I think.
I forget what her name is, but I think one of them plays Peach, and then the other
Yeah.
one plays Sheik.
Yeah, that's a pretty good team. That's what my static team is. I team with Bonfire at tournaments.
Actually, Bonfire is teamed with some people that I follow online.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Bonfire, I believe, played doubles with Slime from the Yard in a couple
Oh,
tournaments.
yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, like, obviously you've got, and Bonfire's a great player as well.
Oh, yeah,
like,
she's great. We went to the same school, and so we went to, like, hundreds of tournaments together. And it just made sense for us to team with each other, and then, like...
obviously, Peach
you know,
and Floaty, Sheik's got a
yeah,
little bit of
Sheik-
coverage there.
Sheik, one of the best doubles teams, for sure. They complement each other really well in ways that maybe I don't even understand yet. But also a lot of ways I do.
I mean, years of playing with the matchup,
Yeah.
obviously, you kind of
It'll
pick some
happen.
things up.
Yeah.
But obviously, Melee's an evolving game, so...
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever completely understand Melee.
I don't
so-
think anyone will ever
Yeah,
completely...
it's
Well,
just so
maybe
deep.
Armada and Mango. I think that's
Yeah.
our two people that maybe completely understand it.
Yeah, there's just so much more to learn about characters we don't really know. I played against a youngling player the other day that was doing things I didn't know were possible with like their recovery, and I was like, I didn't know that happened.
I didn't know that acted that
Yeah,
way.
like 23 years ago, this game came out, and I feel like this doesn't. It's not even mainstream that you can do this.
Oh yeah, I mean even
Crazy.
Aklo, right? Aklo's playing Link against
Yeah,
like
he
Zane.
beat
He's
the
just
literal-
doing things I've never seen before.
Yeah, beating the best player in the world with a character that people think is low tier. How is that possible?
I mean,
Um,
Junebug too. There's a
yeah.
bunch of them now, right? But yeah, and Melee as an evolving game has so many options, right? Like even just in these little moments that like I can kind of understand what's going on, but someone that may not play Melee sees you doing all these
Yeah.
tiny little detail things that obviously I am incapable of doing. But like just even the idea of an L cancel being in with like 9 frames is something that like the average person would never figure out without serious vetting.
Right. There's
And
a
that's
lot
like
that
a
goes in.
core staple of the game.
Oh yeah, it is one of the most advanced or complicated games that I've ever engaged with, and also like it is designed. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's designed in this way actually, but like the things are aligned up so that things are still really hard but possible at a human level. So like when someone hits like a really difficult thing, like if they're like a top player, they might hit this difficult thing, but like they could still mess it up. And I think the threat that you could mess things up, like, is part of something you think about when you go for things.
It's the idea of the whiff punish, right? Like, unlike any other fighting game, Melee's whiff punishes can go from being like a minor, like little 12% stock exchange to killing you
Yeah.
0 to 100. Like,
Yeah. And there's like a different flow that happens when you have like stocks instead of just like one health bar, and then like, because when you have stocks, you die, you come back, and now you have an advantage because you're invincible.
Oh yeah.
Whereas like fighting games don't have this kind of rubber banding thing where like the loser is suddenly put in a powerful position. So there's kind of like a lot of back and forth, and the percents make it so that when you're low percent, you kind of have an advantage as well.
Exactly. Like, and if you're at a high percent, it doesn't mean that the game's over.
Yeah.
Unlike a fighting game where you have
Yeah.
like a specific amount of time and a specific amount of damage that you can take over
Yeah.
a certain period of time.
There is almost always something you can do on the defense or like to make a comeback. I think that's really beautiful. That the game is like you have enough agency to like put yourself in a position to not get hit for the rest of the match if you could.
If you play
If you could.
play your cards right,
Right.
you can do some things that people would think are unthinkable.
Right. And we still see new things that like watching new tournaments. I see people do combos and things I've never seen.
Oh, absolutely.
And it keeps the game fresh, keeps people watching, keeps people playing. It's really healthy, and it proves. It goes to show like why it hasn't died over the course of however long, 23 years of tournaments.
Of course, and I think as like the kind of Doc era has kind of passed now, and we're getting the new generation of Melee with Slippy Kids, right? That's like I think how they're affectionately being referred to.
Yeah.
Like with the kind of Slippy Kids generation kind of starting to come in and replace the mass driving force that the Doc had. Do you see like a place in Melee for another kind of change that could drive a bunch of new players in?
That's kind of a good question. I think Rivals is giving people like kind of like what it's like. People who have not had the chance to play a Smash game like Melee or a game like it are now kind of like being introduced to this concept of hey, there's these ledges, hey, there's these other characters or these other mechanics that I can engage with, and like they'll start to they'll see that hey, Melee has like these things. It's possible some Rivals players will play Melee. I don't know for sure because Rivals did a lot of like quality of life things and like ease of tech skill that
they've smoothed everything out.
Yeah.
Everything has a rounded corner. Like everything is in where Melee, it feels like you can hit a wall very easily. Rivals takes that wall and makes it a gate, so you can kind of open it when you need to. And Melee, it's like if you don't get your timing right on that L cancel, you're going to be slamming your face.
You are going
over
to
a
do
wall.
nothing.
You are going to just sit there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Maybe something will happen, and none of us knew the documentary was going to happen until it did. None of us knew Slippy was going to happen until it did. So, who knows? Maybe we'll see something new.
I do see possibly like we could get this kind of Ludwig generation coming in.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a bigger content creator around Melee, and running like LACS and the kind of the more like smaller tournaments and stuff. Those kind of things, I think, obviously with Summit leaving, which was kind of a loss for the community because Summit was always such a great event.
Oh yeah, people loved Summit, and it made a lot of money for the community.
It was one of the only ways that like it felt Melee could be consistently profitable.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's on a very small scale because it's 10 guys that are getting brought in because of how much money they fundraise and that kind of stuff. But I think the problem with Melee, especially right now, is it feels like it doesn't have a mainstream audience, which in a way is a good thing. Because it doesn't have a mainstream audience, you kind of have the ability to build this community that it is now, but the growth can be somewhat limited. I almost feel like there needs to be more tournaments where they make you play Ultimate and Melee.
They make you play
Make
both.
the Ultimate players play a better game, and then they'll figure it out. But yeah, when you're looking at a bracket, when let's say you're coming out, you get your bracket released ahead of time.
Yeah.
When you're looking at your matchups, is there anything you do as a player ahead of time to kind of look at it and see, oh, I'm playing against two other Peaches. Do I need to prepare for this, or like what goes into prep for a tournament?
I mean, all sorts of things. We can
We're
go to Rinstar.
I didn't even
That's
realize
fine.
I was hovering it.
It's okay. Hey, we're just hanging out. So yeah, of course, like there's prep that happens. Different characters demand, different strategies, and even like on a player level, I might like try to study that person's VODs if they have any online, to try and figure out what they like to do in certain situations. If I go in more informed than them, like I have an edge. So like I'll have like things that I've kind of like built up over the years of like this is how I play against Mark, this is how I play against Sheik, and like I might just like try to like reflect on the things that I've decided are the things I do.
Oh, my one's getting bounced.
And also I have a coach, Drug Fox. He's among the best coaches in Melee. I'm very thankful for him. So, if I had a certain person to prepare for, I could, have a session with him.
And Drug Fox was, he played in like SoCal, right? Was he West Coast?
He's from Georgia.
He's from Georgia, okay.
So,
but I recognize the name because he was a pro for a while too.
Yeah,
so.
he was like, I forget what rank he peaked at, but definitely top 20 in the world, about top 10 in the world. And one of the, probably people would argue that his play was like the most like informed.
He was like one of the first players to really be like kind of like Foxbot, right? Like the kind of like super technical.
Yeah, I mean, he was more like his strategy was very good. His tech skill was good. Don't get me wrong. But it was more about like his strategy, though his way of thinking of the game, kind of pushed him to do really well.
And as having someone like that as an asset, like obviously in pro sports, people think about coaches are a big deal. So, what kind of like things does he help you with when you're like in like a training session per se?
Yeah.
Like,
well, one of the things coaches can do for you in general is provide you insight via their experiences that you would have to play for a lot longer to accomplish, or think for a lot longer, or think harder. You know, like something that he gets to do for me is he gets to kind of like look at like a matchup that I'm playing and like skip all the part where I have to like play the matchup for like multiple years and like think about it and like have it play against Marth players or whatever player that is good enough to show me that this is possible and that this is the thing I need to do, and that, you know, so like he gets to kind of skip all that and just talk to me about it, and he gets to see things that are happening on the screen that I'm not seeing because I don't have enough experience. So like, hey, you did this thing, but really you could have done this other thing that would have covered this other thing that they can do. What do you think about that? Like, and I'm like, I've never thought about it that way, or I've never thought about thinking.
I never thought about like dissecting it that particular
way.
Right,
like he brings things up that I'm like, I've actually don't know why I've done that. I think that's just, I only do that because that's what I've always done when I play Melee. I've done this thing when I respawn or whatever.
And I think the thing with Smash 2 is it's such a habit game
Oh,
because
yeah.
you have to be on all the time.
Yeah.
That a lot of those like bad habits you won't, unless it's actively like getting you killed over and over again, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
Like,
I've read
but
a
somebody
lot
else can see it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've actually read a lot of books about competition and about like improving yourself in like, not just in competition, but like in ways that like where you can get better at a skill or whatever. Like, and part of it is I just mentioned it, but I forgot where I was going. But
Is it the tennis book?
I have read the tennis book.
I've
yes.
heard a lot about the tennis book.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I've heard.
The
It's like about competing in tennis
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, the inner game of tennis.
Oh, inner game of tennis,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So, like, I've done a lot of that, and habits. That's where we're going. So, like, habits are formed because, like, they're good, right? Melee is much too fast. There's too much going on. There is no way you can get to a point where you are playing fluidly without developing some sort of habits that
Are going to keep popping
are going
up.
to do things, and the habits are formed because the brain is getting like these like positive reception or reactions to like
Your brain's
certain
getting
things.
like stimulated in
Yeah.
when you do the thing that you continually do.
Yeah, and you get rewarded against weaker players, which like when you're weaker are more of the people you're going to play because you're losing in bracket earlier. You know, you're more likely to play longer against people of your skill level. So, you know, you're getting your brain rewarded for things that are
Things you shouldn't be doing.
Maybe things you shouldn't be doing, but maybe things you should be doing. Who knows? And it's hard to distinguish which ones are good, which ones are bad, and that's kind of what a coach helps you do. So, like, you know, it's one thing to be like, oh man, I have this bad habit, but it's like, well, maybe it's only there because it was good against other people, and that this person is now showing you, hey, like I
shouldn't have been doing that.
I'm more advanced than these other people you've been playing, and maybe you need to reflect on what you need to do. And you know, a coach can help you get to that point first, instead of doing things that are weaker. So yeah.
Now we'll go for another silly question.
Sure.
What's your least favorite matchup?
Least favorite matchup.
It doesn't even have to be one you play all the time. Like personally, like when I played a lot, I hated Jigglypuff just because Jigglypuff moves such a fucking weird way. I'm gonna have to cut that out. I'll bleep it out.
It's okay.
But like, Jigglypuff moves in such a way that it's difficult, especially for someone like, I feel like for me as Marth, I struggle. But obviously Peach has a lot different movement and play style.
Yeah. Well, Puff is historically Peach's worst matchup. But also, like, I don't... So, my least favorite, I don't think that it aligns with the worst matchup.
For you,
like, for me, like,
specifically.
I think a lot of times people will conflate not liking a matchup and not feeling like you are engaging with the matchup in a way that you find, like, is, like, valuable. Like if we play rock, paper, scissors, right? And, like, I lose rock, paper, scissors. I know why I lost. I know what I would have had to do to get better, and if we play again, I will know, like, I might make those changes. And, like, Melee should feel like when everyone has all the information they need, it should feel like people are going back and forth on, like, correctly guessing what the other person's going to do or not, or, like, playing mix-ups. And if you feel like what's happening in a matchup is you're just going around, you're just losing, you don't know what's going on, then it's going to feel bad. Like, because that's not what is cool about Melee, and it's not what's fun about Melee. Like, not knowing what's going on, feeling frustrated that you're losing, like, but not understanding it. Like, most of frustration from losing is not understanding.
And obviously, too, you want to win. Like...
Yeah, of course. Winning is fun. It is fun. But, it might not be fun if, I'm, beating a child in Melee that doesn't know how to play. Or, like, it's more about, like, hey, I'm getting to apply my skill set in a way that is engaging because, like, it is so close. Right? It's challenging, right? There was, like, some graph I read in one of the books I was reading about competition where, like, the amount of fun that you have is, like, a function of, like, your skill and the challenge before you. So, like, if my skill level matches the challenge, then it is the most fun.
Because you actually have to try.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. You have to try, and you get to, like, kind of, like, flex all of your muscles that you've, like, trained over the course of the time you've been playing. That's just, like, super cool. But, like, so as far as least favorite matchup, I don't know. I don't really dislike any matchup. I think every character that I play against can give me something, a new challenge, a new thing that I can work on. What do I think is my hardest matchup? Like, the one I struggle the most in? The more I play, the more I feel like it's Fox.
I mean,
because
Fox just has so many tools.
Yeah, he is believed to be the best character in the game by the most of the community.
Except for the Fox community who just hates Marth.
Yeah, they would tell you Marth is better or Puff is better or whatever.
Or Leffen. Leffen will tell you Puff's better.
Anyway, so, like, Fox, the more I play him, the more I'm like, dang, Fox is really good. The more I learn about Melee, like, I'm like, wow, Fox has an answer for this, and he could just do it. Like, so I think Fox is probably the hardest matchup. Because I think, like, if I ever get frustrated with, like, Marth, like, I can't get in, it's like, I have to, like, kind of reset and be like, I'm frustrated because I'm not understanding what's going on. If I understood and could just, like, make the adjustments, I don't think I would be frustrated. So, like, it's good to take a step back when you're competing or doing something, like, challenging and, like, say, hey, what is actually going on in my head? Am I able to, like, kind of reframe this in a way that will let me grow more, or at least let me engage with this thing in a healthier way? So even if I, like, play against Puff and I feel like I can't get in and, like, I'm having, like, objectively less fun than if I play against a Fox, right? I think, like, I need to understand, like, what's going on in my head.
And it's like, why am I not having fun? Why am I not understanding X, Y, and Z?
Because, like, ultimately the goal is, like, hey, I want to both get better, and because I think getting better will lead to the most fun.
Of course. And you're developing your knowledge of the game as you play, and it's an ever-evolving...
Yeah.
You can always learn more.
Exactly. It's infinite growth as far as skill is concerned, so it's pretty cool. You will never get too good at Melee.
And as we're going to jump into this probably last one right here, what do you kind of have to say for people that want to get into Melee and join this kind of community?
Well, I could say, for one, a lot of people say, like, hey, it's too late. Like, how am I going to catch up to these people who've been playing 20 years? And to that, I say, now is the best time to get into Melee that it has ever been, and I've been saying that sentence for the last, like, 10 years.
It just feels like there's always more resources and ways to get involved happening. And even now, right, you have, like, access to online tournaments. So should you decide, I'm not ready to go in person yet, and maybe I don't feel comfortable, you have options. Like, you can enter the coin box if you really wanted to.
Yeah,
right?
like, you can play online. There's more resources than ever for getting better and practicing. There's more resources. There's more people playing online than ever. Locals are still really, like, popular. Like, Hog gets regularly about 20 people a week, which is, like, a very, very healthy amount. An amount that you feel like you can get a variety of characters and play styles, and also feel like there's, like, a community around you. And to touch on your point about not being ready for tournaments, I think there is no point at which people are not ready for tournaments. So even if you're day one, you haven't even L-canceled yet, like, the amount that you will learn going to a tournament and talking to people, playing against them, is, like, so... It's so valuable that, like, you'll probably get way better at going to a local and just talking to people and engaging with people than you would ever play from home.
And actually, I think the prime example of that, I didn't tell you this, but I remember this. From my first time coming to Hog, I was playing with a guy that was playing Ganon, and you just sat with him for, like, 10, 15 minutes, and you just helped them, like, here's what I'm seeing in your matchup, you're doing this a lot. Now, if you do this instead of this, you can probably win this matchup more consistently.
Sure. Yeah.
And, like, you are the prime example of what the kind of community is, right? Like, you want to help people get better, you want to have fun playing the game, and build this kind of environment.
Yeah, I mean, like, I want people to experience what I feel like is, like, this cool experience I got to have in my life. So, like, I think it's really beautiful. It's shown me a lot about myself, and I've grown a lot as a person because of Melee, because of the ways that it forces you to, like, introspect and stuff like that. And I feel like, man, if only, like, other people could have the same experience that I have. And I want people to get as good as possible because I think that will lead to the most fun for me, for everyone, you know, for the community.
And I think a more active community is a healthier community.
Yeah. There's more people. There's more, you know, accepting people who want to help each other, want to help the world, or help each other, like, help the community at large.
Just, like, one more quick question about the community stuff. Like, for you as someone, like, obviously you've now been playing for a longer time, when you were first starting to kind of get involved in Melee, how did you kind of meet people and get involved with, like, people within the community?
Yeah, when I first discovered Melee in my college dorm, my sophomore year in 2014, and I just stumbled on a YouTube video that happened to be a Melee tournament grand finals, and I was like, they have tournaments for Smash Brothers? This is awesome. Like, I told my roommate got his GameCube, and we just started playing against each other. And then my school had, like, this random one-off tournament for Melee, and I was like, oh my god, we just started playing Melee, like, 4 months ago. Like, this is awesome. We're gonna go kick butt. And we just did not kick butt. But anyway, it was like a 60-person tournament, which was crazy. There was 3 HD TVs, which are terrible for Melee. You need to play on a CRT if you play Melee, or on a monitor with a setup that is designed for monitors.
Slippy, whether it be slippy, however you're running it.
Exactly. There's a very specific setup you need to make it work on monitor. But anyway, so it was terrible. Terrible tournament. The gameplay was terrible. I didn't know. I was too bad at the game, to be honest. But I had a blast. It was a great time. And I got to meet people at my school who played, and they sent out an email, like, the next day saying, hey, anyone who came to this, let's start meeting regularly on Saturdays. And I just started going there on Saturdays, and there was, like, 8 or 9 of us, and we just started playing Melee, and eventually it grew to, like, 20 people. We're like, yo, we should have tournaments. And so we started hosting tournaments at my college in, like, the common area next to the dining hall.
Oh, yeah.
And,
little student center area.
That's all that happened. I just, like, I went to an event, I met people around me who played, and I got to, like, just join the community that way. And once I graduated college, I came to tournaments where I lived in Connecticut, and I was going during the summer. I was going to Connecticut events as well, and that's all it is. Like, if you just go to the event, you just hang out with people. You don't have to be any good. You don't have to be the best player. You don't have to win anything. You don't even have to compete. You could just go there, hang out. There's a lot of people who come to Hog and just hang out. I have people come here to do their homework just because they like what the vibe is like.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I don't. It's kind of distracting for me, but if I was doing my homework. But
Oh, yeah.
hey, if it works for you. But yeah, like it's as easy as find out where you are. Google. I mean, like a lot of people just find Google Smash
A
tournaments
tournament.
near me, or just like look at find someone you know that plays Melee. They might be able to point you in the right direction to a Discord to a
Oh, yeah.
Twitter page or something.
I mean, for me, I just even getting resources for this project that I'm working on, like, I went on Discord, and in 10 minutes I found like 4 different Discords for
Yeah.
4 different locals
Yeah.
that are all not even just for setting up a point like times. Like obviously the Hog Discord is used for just people talking and like hanging out.
Yeah.
So like I think there's now obviously with online you have a ton of resources to get in contact with people now. But obviously that's kind of all the time we have. So I would like to thank you, Arty,
Yeah,
for coming through
no problem.
and coming through and kicking my ass for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's okay.
But yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
no
Thanks so
problem.
much.
Nice to meet you.